Welcome to SML Total Access, where we break down news, predictions, and more in our Madden League. Now, let's get fired up for SML football.
Hello and welcome back to the award-winning, the longest-running show, not only in the SML, but in the entire connected franchise community, SML Total Access. I am Primetime 000, joined by Matt and Dan. How's it going, fellas?
Hey, fact check. Where's the link on that information? I want to fact check that one. How do you know you're the longest running show on Connected Franchise?
Just based on some quick searches on other top leagues, and I don't see their shows running as long as ours. It's about 70% confident, so we're rolling with it.
This is ABC moderators here, so
yeah.
You gotta
Yes.
check that information.
Hey, I can tell you one fact. Total Access is a combined 22-2 on the season.
Oh, wow.
Dang, snap.
It's
Man,
a top
down to our excellency.
Yes. Let's move on, fellas. First down, speaking of excellency, NFC. Everyone's talking AFC. The greats of the AFC, heavyweight to the AFC. But there's still another conference in the NFC. And what do you guys think? Who do you think is the best in the NFC or the most likely to win a Super Bowl in season one? And Matt, we'll start with you.
Boy, this is actually a tough question. And I think we kind of knew it would be. I thought we'd see a lot of parity in the NFC. I don't think anyone was really going to stand out. One, because there's not an elite owner over there, and there's not really an elite team or ability. So I've got it down to three guys. I've got it down to Straw, Paulie, and Dump. Straw lost to Paulie, so I'm going to kick him out. I think it's Dump. The only thing holding Dump back, he really doesn't have a big signature win. He did beat Bomber, but Bomber just hasn't played enough games for me to really assess his ability, and he's not going to. The rest of his wins, he did beat Stavo, who I actually probably left out of this conversation, and he's going to say that. But I think it's Dump. He's the only one with one loss. That team, I know he got a little screwed on abilities with Caleb Williams, but that team is loaded. And one thing that I really liked about Chicago when I was looking at teams, that offense, outside of, I think he might need to get one more receiver to replace Keenan Allen to put him in the slot or something. But that offense is set. And when you take a team that is set on one side of the ball and you can push all of your assets into the other side, it really shortens that rebuild time. And so I think it's a good team for Dump. That division is not really shaping up to be what we thought it would be. KP has really just been mediocre, literally. He's 4-4. So Dump's going to run away with that division, and he might be the best in the NFC.
Yeah, I think it's Dump for sure right now. I think what you see in the NFC is you got a lot of good players. And that question that we're asking is, are they and I think Matt said, are they elite? Like, so you see some in the AFC. And the problem right now with outside of Paulie, I don't think these guys like Straw and Dump and KP, Stavo, I'm not sure yet. I don't know how much they put the time in yet. I don't know how much they've learned. I don't know how much they've adjusted the game to their style. Paulie definitely has. He's put the time in. You can see that all those myths and stories about Paulie not knowing the game, Paulie not knowing, not having time during football season. That's just out the window right now because he by far has the best scheme that he wants to run according to his style. But I think when it comes down to it, the first season, it's going to be Dump. The problem with Dump is he's got no one to push him, and he's got no great ability. So come Super Bowl, NFC's just going to get smacked around at least for the first probably 3 seasons. Maybe by season 4, you'll see the NFC have a chance to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's good. I'm going to go on a limb here, and I'm gonna shock the nation with this one. I'm going to say D Muse, 5-4. Mind you, his record's not that great, but he just started playing the game right when we kicked off. He didn't really play the game before then. So it's kind of naturally so he's going to have a slow start. So he started off 1-3 with losses to Straw and then a loss to Woods. But his last three wins, he's beat QP, he's beat CC, and now he's beat Raider Fan. He's got a big game coming up against Mike FML. So I think he can kind of get on a roll here. I think D Muse's style of play, and I've always said this, translates from Madden to Madden well. Good defense, clock management. He's top 3 clock manager in the SML. That kind of stuff wins in playoff games. And I think when it comes down to a conference that's a toss-up and all the players are similar skill, give me the guy who can play good defense. Give me the guy who can run the ball and who can make great game management decisions. So I'm taking D Muse.
That's good. I like it.
Let's move on now. Second down. Can Prime go undefeated? And Dan, we'll start with you.
Oh, man. Here we are again. Talking about the regular season. Regular season. We ain't even talking about playoffs. We ain't talking about Sabari. We're talking about regular season. Regular season. So, yeah, if you're asking me that question, sure. Yeah, you can go undefeated. You got your toughest schedule out of the way. You had a tough schedule. Let's give you credit. Okay, I'm a fair guy. You've played well. You're doing well. You played some tough games. You don't have a super team. You should deserve the credit that you have at this point. And yeah, I think you will go undefeated in the regular season. Problem comes playoffs. Now that's going to be the question. That's going to be where the last year the controller got a little heavy for you. Got some overtime games. Didn't kind of step up in the clutch. But for the regular season, I'm going to say yes. You're good.
Yeah. So I hope Dan knows it is currently the regular season. That's why we're talking about it. But boy, I think a lot of people listening would think that this is going to go the other way. I don't think so. I look at this Colts team, and even with the addition of Cooper Kupp, I don't see it moving the needle. Your best player is Jonathan Taylor, who plays a position that multiple people in this league, and I think somebody even on this podcast, said it's not a running Madden. So your best player does not fit the style of the game. And your defense looks really good, but this is a brand new game. This is only, game 10? You've got Doink lingering there. You've got Bean, who you've had his number, but he's a really good player. And here's the thing, and I think it was Meats that brought this up. I think Meats said after he played you can play Prime free because everybody expects you to lose, including yourself. He said you can notch it as a loss on the calendar and just play free. Everybody feels that way. It is not everybody's, but most people's Super Bowl when they get to play Prime. And if he's undefeated and they get that chance, I was in those shoes one time. I remember playing Prime when he was 11, 12, 13. I think even maybe we were in the playoffs. I can't remember when I ended your undefeated streak, but it props up that game for someone who maybe isn't even doing that well, but now they're taking it a little bit more serious, playing a little more free. I think your schedule is favorable, but I think you get tripped up one time by somebody.
Yeah, when I look at it,
fact checkers. There's no way that you can sit there and say that everybody goes into the game thinking, "Oh, I'm going to lose to Prime." No way. That's 4 years old. That happened last administration. That is not even close to what's happening right now. Yeah, because meats is meats. I mean, come on now. You can't be taking that as the gospel truth for everybody in the league.
I said is everybody. I said everybody takes it as their Super Bowl, but then I corrected myself because I don't think someone like you takes it as a Super Bowl. But the majority of the league, when they play Prime, it elevates the game in their mind that if they can beat Prime, even if they're 1-15. That is their Super Bowl to be able to beat Prime.
All right, I'll affirm that statement. Yes, that Prime gets people's best shots. I do agree with that.
And I get Dan's best shot too, more than anybody. I'll say that too.
Yeah, you definitely. I last person I want to lose to is you.
Okay, just wanted to make that clear. For me, when I look, my schedule really tough to start. Bomber, KP, Dump, Dan, all in a row. Then you get Meats, like Matt said. I still got Doink coming up. I still got Bean. I got Paulie on the schedule. Just some tough games coming up yet. I'll be honest. I'm only halfway through the season. I don't think the Colts are a very good team yet, and I kind of get ADD sometimes. So it's really, really, really hard to go unbeaten. And when we posed the question, I kind of meant 20-0, just win the Super Bowl, the whole thing. I think I'm playing good enough to win a Super Bowl. I don't know if I'm playing good enough to maintain focus for 45 days or however long it takes in a whole cycle or a whole season to go 20-0 and win the whole thing. So I might drop one or two in the regular season just because You have to play so good for so long. Your opponent can't be, you have to outplay your opponent. You have to outplay Madden at times. And on top of it, sometimes a guy just plays better than you, especially with, a lesser team at times. So I don't know if I'll go 20-0. If I do, I feel like it might be the greatest season in SML history. I will say that. Put that on record.
Real quick, Matt, do you think JT is the best player on his team because of overall or because of the game?
His best player overall with abilities.
Yeah. Okay.
Etc.
Okay.
Because I think Madden is an abilities game, and he has them.
But his best actual player is Anthony Richardson.
Is he?
The way this game plays, yeah, 100%.
I don't know. When I watch Anthony Richardson, I just see receivers having to turn around to make catches. So I'm not quite sure he's the best.
Sure. They don't make great throws, but the fact that he has the ability to scramble and move around, which a guy like Prime gives him a little bit of that extra edge every single game. I have it too with Justin Fields, so I'm not saying it's a negative or his advantage over me, but that's, I think, his best player, and I think the way this game plays, that's his best player.
Dan, go on, Matt.
I was just gonna say, a lot of what I've read in chat is it's not a running game, so that takes Jonathan Taylor out. I've heard a lot, and Dan, I know you have been on record saying you don't believe this, but a lot of people don't think that quarterback matters. So Anthony Richardson's throw power, his accuracies, all that don't matter. But yes, he has the wheels, but there's quite a few quarterbacks that have wheels. So that's what I'm saying. Jonathan Taylor, according to the league, is not a strength for the Colts.
Yes. Yes. And I'm still on record saying Colts are a good team, not an elite or great team.
If I go 20-0, Dan, is it the greatest season in SML history?
No, I can never, ever say season 1 victory will ever be the greatest season ever.
Is that good?
Nor would I say the last.
So I just want to get that narrative on the way now. If I go 20-0, is that going to be the push you have that Prime had a season 1 20-0 victory?
No, because I'm saying it right now. Even if I win the Super Bowl at whatever, it will not be the greatest Super Bowl ever. I will say, like I said from the very beginning, I would be very impressed if you win the Super Bowl this year, given your team and season 1. I would be it's not as dominant as last year's team out of the gate. It's a good team, and I'd be impressed if you win the Super Bowl. But I will not claim it as the greatest Super Bowl. That's too much hyperbole.
Nobody's ever gone 20-0 without 10 force wins. One guy went 20-0 one time. He had 8 to 10 force wins.
Correct.
To me, that's greatness.
Correct.
Greatest ever.
Correct. Yeah. The season 1 part of it, just the fact that guys like KP, guys like QP, others that don't know the game yet that are really good players, that takes away a little bit of it from me. A little bit.
Yeah, that's fair. We all have our opinions, And that's the beauty of. Maybe I'll just have to get 2 or 3 in a row undefeated seasons. Let's move on.
I'll vomit on my own throw up or choke on my own vomit if that happens. I'll not let the league let that happen.
Let's move on to third down. Let's talk about I hate to do it, disappointment. Who's just not living up to expectation or is being disappointing? And Matt, we'll start with you.
I'm going to just grab one from each conference. I didn't want to pick on a certain conference. I don't want that narrative going around. So in the NFC, I mentioned him earlier. I think it's KP. Look, this guy's hot off a Simbardi win in our last cycle. And that aside, he had a really good cycle while he was in this league. It wasn't like he had a fluke season and was just garbage the rest of the time like Woods. But like he really, really is a good player. And I thought when he took Green Bay, which is a team that when I practiced with them, they were really good. You know those teams that's just like I'm going to try this team out, right? And they're not super amazing. There's nothing that like it super stands out. They're not on like a lot of people's radar as like a top team. But you use them and you're like, holy crap, that team just plays really well. That was the Packers for me. And when he got him, I thought, oh boy, here we go. Defensive guy getting Kenny Clark, Rashawn Gary, Luke Van Ness, Jair Alexander. I think Darnell Savage is still there. A lot of really good players on that defense, some of them really young. And then that nice, young, speedy offense. I thought we'd see a little bit more from KP. He's 4-4. Sure, he lost to you, Prime. He lost to Stavo. So those losses are what they are. But he also lost to the Vikings, Steele, who I know has been away, so we don't have a clear indication of how he is, but he doesn't look good right now. And he just lost to Colt. So He's my at 4-4 current disappointment. He's going to turn it around. I don't have any doubt there. And then on the AFC side, it's got to be QB stud. Look, this guy, if you go to the championship banner part of simmaddenleague.com, you're going to see QB stud on there multiple times. He won the lottery in the team draft. He got one of the best teams. He got the best quarterback. He got the best ability. And he's 4-3-1. And that tie was against Woods, who could probably have been my most disappointing so far. So for me, it's QB stud just because he's a really good player. He cares about the game. Trust me. Watch that guy type in chat when he's playing. He cares. He's played a lot of NCAA, which some people have said translates to a head start in Madden. And he's just not performing with the team that he should be performing with.
Yeah, I think those are great. Those are great names. Those are names I was kind of having a list. KP, Straw. I mean, Straw's got a good record. I just think Straw should dominate the NFC right now. But I want to give those guys a little bit of an out because I know KP's got a baby on the way, and I think Straw might be too. And hey, that first time around, it definitely changes some of your time commitments and stuff. QB Stud's another one I think could be on that list. But he's still over 500, so we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Mine's got to go Woods, though. I mean, here we are, coming off a fresh Lombardi win, or not win, but cycle last season. Knows the team, and he's just right back to that. He's the guy that picked him top 10 again, and I think he's 2-5-1 or 1-5-1 or something like that. I mean, it's just crazy that he's got probably the best roster up and down. And he just isn't winning. And then, talking to him or hearing about some of the trades he wants to make, he's making some of the, I mean, these are cornball trades that this team doesn't even need. He's just completely lost. And so, Woods, wherever you lost your mojo, whichever city you left it back into, you need to go find it and you need to get your act together because you need to represent better than you are right now.
That's good. For me, when I look at disappointments, it's crazy. There's a lot of good teams who, on the AFC side of thing, out of the playoffs, QB stud, somehow QP, if the season ends today, he's out. KP on the NFC side, Woods on the NFC side. But I'm just going to say this. I'm going to make a claim. AFC South, the next closest guy, 4 games out. This Bomber who's on vacation. I scared him into going all the way over the pond. Colt 45, 5 losses. Tiny, 4 losses. You guys joined the big, bad division, and you're giving me no competition. I urge and I challenge the AFC South to step it up because I'm going to make a guarantee right here on the show. I'm going to go undefeated against the AFC South for the entire Madden 25 cycle. You guys are disappointing me because you're not giving me any challenge. I need iron to sharpen iron, and it's just not happening. I have to go other places to get that. So I'm issuing a challenge. Bomber, come back. I want to see Bomber from Madden 19 or whatever that was. I want to see Tiny Titan from last cycle and Colt from TBL or wherever Colt was good, if he was good. Yeah, that's my disappointment.
Man, this really is the debate of 2024. You're just making wild claims and promises and guarantees. There ain't no way in the world you're not going to lose one game this whole cycle. You just said you had ADHD, and now you're promising to win every single game
Against the AFC South.
I know against the AFC South, you're not winning every single. Tiny's gonna beat you. At least one time
jeez, come on, Dan.
I'll put a bet down on that. Tiny will beat you at least one time this cycle.
He will not.
Hey, I'm gonna give you a little tip though. You need to keep your eye on Colt. He knows something about this game. He has 3 of the top 5.
His defense is good. His defense is good.
One of them is a guy I don't really even know who he is. So, Yasir Abdullah. But back to Woods real quick. Prime, you're going to edit out that shot I took, right? I got to hit the cough button.
Yeah. We'll edit that out.
Okay, cool.
I respect Woods. Let's move on to 4th down. It's time to spread the love. I think we've done some damage here, and I think we need to clean it up. Dan, who are you spreading your love on?
Yeah, I want to spread my love on a guy that I think had a pretty rough cycle last year. Didn't really, as far as I know, even come close to sniffing the playoffs, and then kind of just disappeared. And that's NYT, and that's not the NYT we know. Yep. NYT is always a good to average player, fighting for playoffs, making some noise, causing a little disruption. And he's right back at it. He's 5-4 there, Seattle. Again, a good team, not a great team, but a good team. And winning the games he probably should win, and going to be battling for that playoff spot. And so, good job, NYT. I hope you keep it up, and I think the NFC is going to be richer if you make the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with another Hall of Famer and another Michael, and I'm gonna go with Mike FML, who, if we recorded yesterday, or if QP would have won the game, he would be leading the NFC South. Excuse me. He's 4-4. He's got a top 8 offense in everything except points, so passing or total yards, passing yards, and rushing yards. He's top 8 at least. His defense is middle of the road, which for the Falcons and for Mike, he just needs to be middle of the road. He needs to avoid being in the 20s. Yeah, he's really only beat his division and the aforementioned Woods, who I respect and would never take a shot at. But he played AJ really close. He only lost by 6, and that's an explosive offense who gave me all the trouble in the world. He only lost by 2 scores to Dom. Dan did blow him out in the first game, but Mike's playing really good ball. So hats off to Mike, who's in a divisional race there. And then I'm just going to share the love to. I just want to share the love to the this whole suspension talk and the mantra of all of these suspensions, and just make it clear that when suspensions happen, it's not like this dark mark on someone's record. It's literally you made a mistake, which we do as human beings. We're taking an action because we decided to do that cycle and a half or 2 cycles ago, where we wouldn't do a wouldn't try to psychoanalyze everything. It's just a slap on the wrist. You made a mistake. You're going to pay the punishment, and that's all it is. No one's got a black book with your name on it with the scythe there ready to axe you out of the league. So I just hope that people know that when that happens, it's like, okay, you made a mistake. Heck, when I first got in the league, I broke a rule. One of my first handful of games, I broke the ice kick rule where I ran a play, and I had to tattle on myself. And it happens to everybody. Nobody's perfect. This is an adjustment with the stats not showing up. That's been our biggest issue. There's a State of the Union address on that in the league updates. So hopefully those that have been suspended aren't just kicking themselves, but also taking it as a step to get better.
No, that's good. And just to echo that, I think sometimes when people think about Madden leagues or just think about punishments in general or discipline in general, I think it comes from this like authoritarian iron fist crushing down on people. To me, when we discipline people, and Dan, you might know this, how to pronounce this word better than I do. You're kind of a scholar at times, but discipline derives from, I think it's a Latin word, discipla. I can't even pronounce it. There's some Latin word out there. Look up the word that discipline.
You're asking me to pronounce?
Yes.
Do you know anything
yes.
about me? You're asking me to pronounce it? Are you feeling okay over there?
Well, my point is that even though I can't pronounce the word, when you're bored, Google the Latin word that discipline comes from. And the word essentially means pupil or to learn or to instruct. It has nothing to do with just ruling with an iron fist. So my goal, and I think the style of leadership we want to have here is to hopefully teach people to mold them to what we want. We're not going to find unicorn people. We're all imperfect, and we all have imperfections, and we come from different backgrounds and cultures. So hopefully we can find people that are just regular, ordinary people and get extraordinary results from them. So that's kind of my goal. It's not to just crush people with an iron fist and suspend people all the time. That's not who I am, and that's not how we're going to run the league. So I appreciate Matt kind of giving me a segue in that. But if I'm going to spread the love, I'm looking at records, and he was mocked for taking the New York Giants, and he was mocked because they were not a great team. And then he was mocked based on his reaction when Straw joined his division. And then I look at who he's beaten, and it's Coach Pauly who's beaten Straw, and Coach Pauly is a top player in the SML. All I got to say is, well, who's laughing now? Who's laughing now? I'm spreading my love on Coach Pauly all over him. Thank you.
I like it.
Matt, what's your 5?
Yeah, I did want to give a shout out to Fins, who is a legacy member who has joined us, and
yes.
He's right back in last place where he left us, so he's fitting right in. All right, the top 5 number. You'll edit that out. No, keep that one.
We'll keep that one. We like Fins.
So number 5, I've got myself. 7-1.
Yep.
Sitting here, I'm still looking for that marquee win. I did beat the young Hertzler, who gave me one heck of a battle. He had a really good game plan. I did beat QB Stud, but I lost that game to Straw in overtime. That would kind of have been my signature win, but we're cooking. We've got plenty of chances for signature wins coming up. So me at number 5. At number 4, I've got the man you just mentioned. I got Paulie. There's kind of a logjam with 2 losses there in the NFC with Stavo, Paulie, and Straw. But I'm taking Paulie because he did beat Straw, and his losses are to QB Stud and to Dan. And for me, I think it's part of the eye test as well, right? I watched Paulie play, and like you said, I think it was like Dan said, I think he's got his identity already, and that's the hard part of the early season, right? Everyone's trying to figure out their identity. They're making a playbook, then they're editing the playbook, and you're just trying to figure out who you are. Paulie already knows who he is, and I think that's why you're seeing the success that he's seeing. It'll just be a matter of will these others catch up to that. At number 3, I've got Dump, who we also talked about. Hey, Dump usually doesn't do things quietly, especially being successful. But he is a very quiet 6-1. He came out the gate, was down 14-0 against Tiny, but you'd never know that because the final score was 46-14. He then blew out Bomber 31-10. And then he hit a roadblock with Prime. Can't hold that against him, but beat Stavo. So he's got some really marquee wins. He's 6-1 with the only loss to the guy who hasn't lost to anybody. So you can't really hold that against him. So really good ball by Dump, who's somehow doing it quietly. I don't think that'll last long either by his accord or the league's. At number 2, I've got Dan. You talk about identities. Dan looks extremely sharp, and it's not the defense. He is playing good defense. He not against the pass, but he's playing good offense, which we don't really see a lot from Dan. I mean, you see a decent offense, but he's found a rhythm on offense. I think he would probably say it's an easy offensive game, but he's got some nice wins. He just absolutely destroyed Set Feet Lead and Doink. He got that big win over Paulie. He's beat Straw. He's beat QP. And his only loss is a 3-point loss to Prime in a thriller. So Dan is at number 2. And at number 1, I know I got mocked. I think someone on this show said, the SML's back when Matt has Prime at number 1. But I'll kind of pat myself on the back. I was right. I knew that Prime was the best player in the league. I knew he would be the best player in the league, and he is the best player in the league. Wins over Dan. Multiple score win over Dump. A win over KP. I know we said that he is a disappointment, but still a big win. Win over Bomber. Win over Meats, who's having a really good year with that cheese team. So Prime is number 1, where he started, and hopefully where he finishes.
That's perfect list. I think it's accurate and unbeaten.
Yeah,
and
good list. Good list. I can't argue with that.
In front of Dan, I look at my rearview mirror, and he's out there. He's not closer than he appears, but he's out there way back, trailing behind as usual. So it feels good.
Yep. And enjoy that view now. Enjoy the view now.
Boys, that is SML Total Access. I'm Prime Time. That's Matt. That's Dan. Until next time, we're signing out.